In this segment, we're going to go over the actual sampling from the patient, what we've all been waiting for. So in order to simulate a patient, we had to put it in demo mode, so you're not usually going to see demo mode here, obviously. But it's going to work in the same way, it's just going to be a little bit accelerated for our purposes. So when it's in ready to sample, which is most of the time, it's going to be ready to sample. You can take a sample every 11 minutes. It does have to recalibrate after each sample. But we're going to initiate it always with the pushing of the sample button here. So sample button is located at the lower left corner. We'll hit the sample button. First question it's going to ask is what we're putting through our A line. Remember, we're not changing anything that's going through the A line. We're putting the same infusion solution that we've always put through there. And most of the time it's heparinized saline. If that's the case, go ahead and use saline only. If it's the case that you're putting something else through the line like TPN, lipids, any other kind of nutrient that could affect the sample, we're going to switch it to other. What this other means is it's going to pre-flush that line with 0.2 cc's of fluid to clear out what was in there before it takes the sample. So for this purpose, we're going to go ahead and use saline only, and we're going to hit the asterisk key. So now we go over here to our patient, and we turn the dial 90 degrees to the left to sample. And what we're going to see is the blood withdrawal from the UAC up into the sensor itself, and it's going to hold it there. Now during this period, like I said, we're kind of sped up here in demo mode, but there is a part that says may turn to waveform. So back over here on the screen it says may turn to waveform. This is the portion where you're going to go ahead and turn it to waveform if and only if you need an additional sample out of this stopcock. Because what this is going to prevent is the sample from automatically purging back to the patient if you were taking a sample from this stopcock. So since we're at this mode, we'll go ahead and we're going to quiet the alarm over here. We're going to go ahead and simulate that. So what you would do is turn the stopcock off towards the sensor, remove your cap, and only take what you need to clear the port and what you need for the sample. Because remember, we've already pulled 1.5 cc's of blood back to clear the line. So the patient will obviously have some pressure to drip 2 drops of blood out of the port. Then you can attach your gas syringe, pull what you need for your additional labs, and take that away. Now what we'll want to do is go ahead and purge just a little bit back to clear that port, and then turn it back to this. So that's only if you're taking additional labs. You didn't need to do all that if you weren't. So we'll go ahead and turn it back to sample. And the machine sensed that automatically, and it's going to go ahead and try to purge the blood, all of the blood, back to the patient. And we can see it clear the line here. So remember, it's returning all that blood, the 1.5 cc's it took, plus 0.5 cc of fluid just to clear that line. And when we look at our machine, we were given our gases and electrolytes right here, and a hematocrit flashing on the screen. It says turn back to waveform now. So it's finished purging all that blood back, and we'll just turn this dial right back to waveform. Now we're back online with our arterial waveform and back to normal. So these values are going to keep flashing on the screen for a while. They're also printing out on our printer up top, so you can have a record of those. Now what we're going to do is take another sample just as a review without taking any additional labs. We're just going to let it run through the motions, and I'll show you how easy that is. Again, in normal mode, you'd probably have to wait about 7 minutes for this to reset and purge. We'll try to force it. So I forced it into a sample again, so we're going to say saline only again. We're going to go over here to our patient, turn it to sample, and then we're just going to back away and let it do its thing. So again, it'll pull back the blood. We're again to that portion where it says may turn to waveform, but we're not going to worry about it. We're going to just take a gas with the via without taking additional labs. This process usually takes about 45 seconds to withdraw, 45 seconds to analyze, and about 45 seconds to reinfuse. So in our demo mode here, we're already through all that, and it's beginning to reinfuse the blood. And we can look at the screen over here, microflush, and our gases. And again, all this fluid is being tracked. And we can take a look at that by just hitting read volume infused. And that's our total volume that's gone to the patient since we cleared it out. That's the volume that's gone to our collection bag. So it's catching most of it, as you can see. And the machine tells us to turn it back to waveform. So we're turning it back to waveform. Back online with our arterial line. And we've got our gases.